Hello and welcome to another episode of Four Wales, Sea Wales with me, Mel Owen.
Me, Robin Morgan.
And me, Will Hayward.
How is everybody doing? I feel like we're just the three of us. We're here. I feel like it's been a while since we've done this setup, right?
Robin's been on a boat, motherfucker.
I've been on a boat.
Oh, straight out the gates with a motherfucker.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, I see you, man, in comments.
Yes! Oh my God, did you see the comment
No.
this week? We got a comment saying we use inappropriate language when we have party leaders on.
What, from the Reen one?
Yeah.
What did we say?
It basically, I went back and said, shit, you're right. And
Right.
he basically said, I don't have a problem with swearing. It's just if you're in the presence of a party leader, I wouldn't expect you to address him with so much swearing. And then he went back and said, I have rewatched carefully and seen it's actually just Will.
That's so funny.
And I'm like, fine.
The only journalist.
So I was like, sure.
Expected it of us naughty children, but not
yeah.
you.
No,
But
you dragged me down.
Do you know what? My parents listen to this, shout out, and they're like, I just don't know why you, as in me personally, why you have to swear so much on it. And I'll like listen back to the episode they've just done, and it's not me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes
I think
it
I
is me.
swear the most by miles.
Yeah. But then I get told off for it.
I think you swear. No, I swear a lot on stage. I've been told quite a lot on stage that I swear too much.
Is it swearing from you feels jarring because you're like
You're Robin
objectively very? You're right, yeah, you're Robin Morgan. You're like wholesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But these gigs on a boat that
Yeah.
I did,
Yeah.
like technically clean material gigs. So
Yeah.
I've been a very good boy.
Where was your boat?
Where was my boat? This is why we've got him on for his journalistic integrity. It's the big questions that he asks,
Where was
such
your
as,
boat?
where was your
boat?
boat?
Where boat?
Where boat go now?
Float, boat.
Boat went to Norway. Boat went to the Norwegian fjords.
With Robin on boat?
Robin was on the
Telling
boat.
jokes on boat.
Joke on boat. Lol boat. Boats lols.
Lol boat.
I did some jokes. I did some gigs on a cruise.
Yeah.
We went to the Norwegian fjords. It was really, really nice. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I think I'd do it again.
Would you? Definitely
so.
like, yeah, was it vibes?
The gigs,
Yeah.
they were fun actually. They were sort of 11 o'clock starts, so quite late gigs.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was
that's
all,
nice.
And it was all branded as like late night comedy.
Yeah.
I think in the blurb it was like, leave your inhibitions at the door. And, and then it's like little old me like, hey, hi.
Yeah.
So I think that was good because I think so. There was an understanding that you could be a bit cheekier than it was.
if you need
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
Can you? Because obviously, like, it's a fairly like captive audience. On a boat. So do they? It's a ship, actually, isn't it? Why am I saying?
I don't know, mate.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Some people take it very seriously. I don't know.
Yeah.
I still have no
I'm-
idea.
It's a liner, technically.
Sure.
If it's a commercial vessel that goes on water that takes passengers who have paid to be there, it's a liner.
A liner.
Yeah.
What was your question, Will?
My question was going to be, if you've got the same people on all the time, and you've done like several gigs on the same boat liner, can you repeat? You have to do totally new material each time.
For this one, it could be the same 45-minute set. For other ones that technically I'm doing, you get booked for like 2 different sets.
Right,
But I
okay.
do so much crowd work that it feels different each time.
Yeah.
Anyway, in theory. But you do go a bit mad. On my final day, we were supposed to stop off at one place, but it was too windy to dock.
Right.
There.
Oh.
So they had an extra sea day. Wow. So we had 2 sea days in a row where basically you're not leaving the ship.
Yeah.
And people went a bit feral. Like the casino was like rammed at 8
We've
a.m.
got cabin fever.
I miss Reen.
I misread, yes.
I don't think we swore too much in front of him, but also my argument for that would be that we're treating him. This isn't the BBC. Like we're not trying to do like these. There's a reason he's coming on this podcast.
And he is just a man. Do you know what? Let's remember this.
He's just
a man.
just an innocent man, a normal man.
Yeah.
I mean, the presents were a good touch.
A good
They
presence, a good
are,
touch.
yes.
Either he likes the podcast or someone who advising him has listened to the podcast.
Yeah. Done well.
Because I was thinking about this, like, we do swear a bit more. Well, we've more than the BBC, like, we do swear. We also, it's more informal, but I think that's kind of the point, because the whole idea of this podcast was many people in Wales are not engaged with politics. And if you are engaged with politics, there is actually podcasts out there for you. Things like Wales Cast. Stay with us.
Yeah.
Don't go. But I do think that primarily we want people to be entertained by the podcast.
Yeah.
And that is how we bring the politics in, which I think is the whole point of it, wasn't it?
Accessibility, for sure. And do you know what? On that note, I was at the Hay Festival at the weekend, and gangs, not, okay, maybe not gangs.
Gangs?
Groups. Gangs.
There's no gangs at the Hay Festival.
I was not being shanked at the Hay
Dealing
Festival.
Earl Grey.
Yeah, exactly.
They have cheese knives.
Bit of tofu, in the backhand.
To make light work at this brewery.
Pleasant groups of young people were coming up to me to talk about how much they enjoy the podcast.
That's cool.
Which was so humbling and lovely.
Wow,
And
that is so
honestly, it was just so nice to know that we're getting to them as well. The people who were going, there was one group who was 16 and they were like, we're so excited to vote. And this, that, and the other. And I was like, yeah, and I was so excited to see how engaged they were and the fact that they listened to the podcast and to use their words, gave them access to politics.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's genuinely lovely to hear.
Yeah, it genuinely, my little heart was very, very big, walking around the hay, getting that,
We should do a show there next year.
Yeah.
If they let us in. If not, we'll just do it in the car park.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're...
Yeah. We're both going back tomorrow separately, but have you got...
All right.
Yeah, the fan fiction of Mel and Will was really going wild then.
Just for 2 seconds. They're like, no.
Pretty quick to distance herself from me, wasn't she?
Separately.
Yeah. Someone will be clipping that when the documentary's made about me.
She knew.
She knew. Yeah. Have you got socks and sandals ready? Because there's a lot of them flying around.
So I'm camping with my mum.
Oh, that is
and
very
it is
sweet.
absolutely pissing down at the moment.
It is thrashing it
So
down.
after this, I'm driving up there. When this comes out, I'll still be there on the Thursday when this comes out. So come say hi.
Yeah.
Do you have any dry shampoo?
I don't have any dry shampoo. I'm staying. Actually, I'm not saying where I'm staying. Screw that.
Yeah. And then they will turn up.
It's the tent with Will's face on it.
So basically, me and my mum used to go every year. 3 years ago, we went, and about 2 weeks later, she was in hospital and this is a bit morbid, but she got diagnosed with terminal ovarian cancer and had operations, chemo. She was given 2 years, and now this will be 3 years on, and so this is the first year she's been kind of well enough to go back.
That's so cool.
So we're gonna. So basically, I am going to be in a tent in the rain with a terminally ill woman, and probably more annoyed than her about how uncomfortable it is.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, she's missing 8 organs now. She's fine.
What's a soggy tent at that point?
Yeah, and Mum, when you're listening to this, you'll already be driving back, so you won't be able to tell me off. Fuckity fuck.
Yeah, I'm going to now get told off for that,
Yeah,
though.
no, you will.
Mel!
Disgraceful language.
Stop it.
I hope you have a great time together.
Before we move on, because, guys, I went to the Conservative Party conference, the Welsh Conservative Party conference.
Yes.
It was the funniest thing I've ever done. And I've been to see both of you two live.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's
I'll
fine.
take that.
And I thought you were both funny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
Before we go on to that, I just want to give a shout out. Not a shout out. I want to give a call out. Because I know a lot of people listen to this work for charities and really good organisations in Wales. And we're always looking for sponsors. But we appreciate that third sector in Wales especially, there's just no money. People are really resource starved. But obviously, to keep this going, we have to be able to, it has to pay for itself, doesn't it? We've had loads of really good sponsors. We've got some good sponsors coming up. But what I was going to suggest is, if you run a charity or an organisation in Wales and you've got an important cause, if you want to sponsor one episode, we can put aside 5 minutes to have a chat. You don't need to be on it, can be if you want to, but to chat about your cause. And you'll reach thousands and thousands of people, a really engaged audience, and you can use those clips on your socials as well. So if you are interested in potentially sponsoring this podcast, we've got flexible rates depending on what you want, get in touch with us. You can contact me directly on social media, or you can email us at 4walescwales@gmail.com.
Guys, where would be so cool to record this podcast?
Wow.
A shipping container.
Oh my God, it would.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Would we need to be shipped somewhere, or do you think we could be docked?
I like the idea of us going across the Indian Ocean on a shipping container, purpose designed and built. Somali pirates trying to board.
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking more Life of Pi, tiger attacking me, but cool. We can be. I love we've both gone for being attacked.
Yeah. In the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, for some reason.
Well, you know that I could protect you both. I think that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you laughing at me?
I feel very safe in your presence.
Thank you very much.
I'd also feel very safe in a secure, watertight shipping container.
Purpose designed.
Purpose design. Do you know what? You actually can insulate them to be soundproof, all of that kind of stuff.
Who could do that though?
Lion containers, the obvious choice, I think.
Lion containers. They're back.
They're back, baby. Did they ever go away, Will?
They never leave you. Once you go lion, you never go crying. No.
Yes! There it is. That's more, Lion. That's more.
If you want your own podcast studio, home shed, whatever it might be, head to lioncontainers.co.uk.
Let me paint you a picture. I arrived in Llangollen
Okay.
in North Wales.
Yeah.
I turn up at the pavilion there. There are many, many people in very, very, very blue suits. They're walking around.
Red trousers.
Some chinos.
Yeah.
Yeah, salmon.
Few kind of gilets.
Yeah.
A few gilets.
Yeah.
Sometimes sleeves rolled up.
Mean business.
Lady mean business.
Yeah.
Party business.
I am at the Welsh Conservative Conference.
Where else?
Where else would you be? I initially didn't know if I was even going to be allowed to go to this because sensitive snowflakes that they are, sometimes political parties can be a little bit tetchy with any kind of criticism.
I'm banned.
Are you banned?
That's for another day, but yeah, I am.
Little tease.
Live show.
Yes, definitely live show. I put some of this on social media, so I'm not going to go into like loads of detail bits I've already put out, but I wanted to get an interview with Darren Millar.
Big Daz.
Yeah.
Big Daz. So when he became leader in December, I approached and said, could I get an interview with Darren? And they said, yeah, sure, let's arrange it. And then I reported on Darren Millar's second job. We've covered this on the podcast extensively. You can go back and listen to it. And then they said, no, you will not talk to Darren Millar. Pretty much every couple of weeks for the last 6 months, I've requested an interview with Darren Millar. They kind of stopped replying, so I started calling, and then they said no. Anyway, I arrived there. You're in the kind of press room with all the other journalists, and they were all saying, "Oh, when are you interviewing Darren Millar?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's just me who's not interviewing Darren Millar. That's very, very upsetting." So I asked David T.C. Davis, who the former MP, who's now chief of staff for the Welsh Conservatives, could I interview Darren Millar? And he, to be fair, I think he did his best. But
He does have a sweet spot for you, as we know.
we do. He has got a little.
He's a friend of Will, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's drinking the Kool-Aid, but still no. So I thought, well, Darren Millar is going to be standing there. I'm going to be standing there. That's pretty close to an interview anyway.
Yeah.
So Darren Millar was speaking to the Press Association, and I walked over, and David T.C. Davis was there, and kind of he didn't stand in the way, but made it clear that I can't just walk in to another interview, which is fair, out of respect for another journalist. I wouldn't do
Is
that.
he like a heavy, like a bodyguard?
So I said, come on, David. Like, I'm here, he's here. Let's make it happen. And he goes, I'm sorry, we can't. He goes, you're welcome.
Like everyone I stand over had, look, I'm here, you're here. What are we doing?
There's hours to kill.
All the component parts are involved.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said, look, you're welcome to ask. While he was doing the other interview, I started taking sad selfies of myself.
Hilarious, by the way.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, as Darren Millar was walking away, I shouted, Darren, any chance of an interview? And he froze. And so I thought, does he just think I'm like a predator? If he stays still, I'm like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And I'll just roar and run away somewhere else
A
looking for him.
journalistic predator.
She's like, Darren, are you all right?
So he goes, oh, go on then. So I got 2.5 minutes with him, but we were speaking next to an olive tree. And at the end, he snapped off a branch of the olive tree, a little branch. A lot of people were very angry with him on social media for that.
For breaking
It was
a
like a
tree.
small twig.
Right.
And
Okay.
he said, here's an olive branch. And apparently we were friends again.
Very Moses of him. Was it Moses who'd had the olive branch? I've just made that up.
I'm not
I really
sure.
think I have. It feels
And
holy.
then a plague of locusts descended on me.
It feels holy is what I'm trying to say.
Because he's trying to part the Red Sea, but he won't be able to. There's Labour. Bit of satire
Wonderful.
for you.
That was satire at its best.
That's
Available
why
for
you
corporate
wrote. That's why.
bookings.
That's that sort of stuff you brought to Mock the Week, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
This
yeah.
is what you got. What got you on?
One episode of Mock the Week.
Yeah.
Now cancelled.
Yeah.
Unrelated.
Well, they
Unrelated.
they completed it.
Yeah.
Completed
Yeah.
it.
So let me take you through some of the gaffes. Kemi Badenoch said it was great to meet so many MSPs, which is members of the Scottish Parliament.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which there was like a kind of ripple went around the room, and it was like,
Is that what we're called?
The leader of the Scottish Parliament.
Have we been invaded?
We had some of the auto cue stuff was absolutely superb. So Wales was always corrected to WHALES.
Oh no.
So this is on the captioning stuff.
So they had person begin their speech. There was 4 big screens, and they had auto captions instead of someone actually like doing the captions.
Like on when you do it on socials and stuff, and it comes up badly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So at one point, they were saying about they were going to bring in this policy Wales wide, and it came up Wales as in wide.
We've both done stand-up gigs where they have live captioning people, and they're brilliant people, and they're very, very good at their jobs. But the gigs are slightly, I suppose, under the level of a political party conference.
I think so, yeah.
Why didn't they just pay somebody?
God
So
knows
he's somebody
them.
good.
So at one point, Darren Millar said, "We are pro-roads, not just cycle paths." But it corrected to, "We are pro-roads, not just psychopaths."
Yeah.
Olive branch to everybody.
Janet Finch-Saunders, who is an absolute maverick of a person,
Go on, Janet.
had some interesting things to say about climate change. So she's responsible for climate change. At one point,
She's responsible for it.
Yeah, she just produces enough hot air.
Available for corporate bookings.
Zinger.
She, at one point, just stopped talking and paused. It must have been 3 seconds where she went, "Because people are really annoyed about these emissions." So she forgot the word emissions,
Yeah.
which, these sort of things do happen.
Yes,
but
yeah.
it was funny. At one
Also, I think if that's like your portfolio, it should be a word that just kind of trips off the tongue. Do you know what I mean? It should just be there in your mouth ready.
Yeah, these...
These are what they call the old, what I like to call emissions. Yeah.
Say it with me.
It is like the kind of Minister for Sport forgetting the word football.
Yeah, exactly.
In Darren Millar's speech, he said, "I joined the Conservative Party when I was 15 years old. I was inspired to do so because of the legacy of Margaret Thatcher, the greatest Prime Minister of my lifetime."
Burn on truss.
Let's So then,
Rude is what that was.
Really rude.
but then,
actually.
just a few hours later, Janet Finch-Saunders said, "Why are we importing coal into the UK when we could be extracting it here?" I was like, do you know what Margaret Thatcher was literally famous for closing, Janet?
Oh God! And also, it's very Liz Truss in her. Why are we importing cheese and all of that?
That is an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, we all know the one.
Yeah. They didn't announce a lot in the way of policy that kind of meant anything, but one thing they did announce was they were going to reduce income tax, if they won, and reduce business rates. Now, the way they were going to do it would add up to quite a big shortfall in the Welsh budget. So it would have been £660 million, so over £500 million shortfall. What would your question be if there was a shortfall? Like, where are you going to make that up?
Yeah.
Where's
the money?
So when I asked him, there's 2 answers to this. The first one is efficiency savings, the classic.
They love that, don't they?
Yeah. Because it means nothing.
Yeah.
But don't worry, because they're going to ring fence health, education and farming, even though that constitutes pretty much 3/4 of the budget.
I was going to say basically what's devolved then. Yeah, cool.
And they're also going to cut Labour's vanity projects.
Oh, they love vanity projects. They love it. The anti-racism one's in there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Always in there.
How vain.
Yeah, I know. God, how dare they not want racism? Do you know what? Put the fucking mirror down, brown people. Jesus.
So I asked him about some of the vanity projects, and he said, "Well, we're going to stop funding Cardiff Airport, which costs 20 million a year." Okay, it's 20 million. So just do the maths in your head. 20 million. They're going to close the Welsh Government's overseas offices, which cost 5 million a year. So we're on 25 million.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of money.
We're only 635 million short. But they also said that they were going to reverse 20 miles an hour.
Don't reverse it. That's even more dangerous. Yeah.
Reversing through the country lanes of Wales. Fuck, here we go.
Not sure this is safer.
Going past the school, put it in reverse. I'm so glad I can't see now.
Cars will no longer go forwards.
Oh, God.
So they said they were going to reverse the 21-hour policy. Now, sorry, I'm still laughing. Yeah,
it's so silly. It's so silly. And also that's silly because reversing it just costs more money.
You just have to change all the signs again.
Yes, we've all just got fucking used to it. Let it go.
Yeah.
But we've got a bit of a shortfall. Do you know what we better do? Change all the signs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have we still got the old signs? Those have been melted down now, right?
I'd have thought so. I don't know. Yeah, unless Darren Millar's got them in his fucking church, waiting.
Just peeling the Yes Cymru stickers off them.
Exactly.
But don't worry, because they're going to reverse the Senedd expansion. Okay, so now the Senedd expansion.
less democracy, great.
So basically, he said that the Senedd expansion that actually would save a bit of money. It'd save about £18 million a year ish. The thing to say about that is, firstly, you can't do that during the Senedd term. You can't cut.
It already would have happened by the time they get into power.
Yeah. So what he's saying is they're going to win a majority, and then their first act will be to cut.
Yeah.
But also that can't happen until 2030 anyway, because that'll be the first time that we're voting again. So that shortfall just continues to exist year after year after year.
And that would rely on not only the, let's be honest, miracle of them winning a majority this time, but they're going to do Darren Millar is going to do so well that they're going to win another one in 2030.
Yeah.
And that's when it would actually come.
Yeah, everyone's just reversing to the polling stations.
Great.
If one man's capable of a miracle.
This is very true. Who else would it be?
You can't spell miracle without Miller, I think.
Yeah.
Corporate bookings.
Well, that spelling leads me on to how they're going to fix education.
That's good.
Oh, lovely segue.
Nice link, man.
So, Welsh education is really struggling in lots of ways. On the PISA tables, the international tables, Wales is falling down. And a big problem is, schools have just got no money.
Yeah.
Like, they've been absolutely, their costs have gone up. Their budgets really haven't kept pace. It's really, I know of schools which have, built dance studios but can't afford to employ any dance teachers, so they're just empty studios.
Yes, really shit dance students. Some real bad dance going on here because they don't know any better.
So they're doing the cha-cha slide. That's all they can do.
Macarena playing. Come on now, please, make it stop. It's getting louder and louder.
But don't worry, because the Welsh Conservatives have announced 3 policies that are going to fix Welsh education.
More dance teachers.
Right.
It's Miller time, baby.
They've got 3 points. They're going to fix it. Now, the whole theme of the conference was fixing Wales. So it was we're going to fix education, fix health, fix this, fix that. Your friend and mine, James Evans, was there talking about things he was going to fix.
How is he?
Is his leg fixed, Jem?
No.
No.
No, he's
really hobbling,
he's still
wasn't
in
he?
the boot, but he did bound onto stage, I found, with gusto.
Oh.
Sure.
I'm not saying he's faking. No, I'm absolutely not saying he's faking, to be clear.
Okay, but now it feels like you are.
That's funny, isn't it?
Okay, but how did he bound then?
No, but bound with energy. He emotionally bounded.
Yeah. Well, no, but he was very concerned. I think he said this on the podcast that he was going to be kind of in trouble with Daddy Miller for coming on.
Daddy Miller.
Never saying that.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And clearly not. They didn't stop him from making a speech or anything like that.
No.
Great.
I asked Paul Davis, who is the previously 2 leaders ago, the one who got done because of the drinking in the Senedd thing during the
lockdown.
He was in the Andrew R.T. sandwich, right?
He's now
It was Andrew, Paul, Andrew.
Yeah. So I asked Paul Davis, because he's chief whip. I was like, did you enjoy him coming on the podcast? And he was like, we had some words, kind of all very jokey. So I think James Evans is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Frankly, they've just got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, it's not their biggest problem, I would argue.
In fact, we'll come to Darren Millar because he said some interesting things in his speech. We'll come to that in a sec. But do you want to hear the 3 things they're going to fix education?
Yeah.
Okay. Pupils to be automatically excluded for carrying knives into school.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I actually kind of think, I can kind of get that, because teaching unions do want this because they're really concerned about school safety. The head of Estin has argued that actually automatic exclusions aren't helpful, because if a kid has been severely bullied, brings in a knife and gets caught, kicking them out of school and out of education might actually be counterproductive.
Yeah, sometimes school is the best place for people to be, right?
But
then if your kid was at school
and
you knew that knives had a bit of a lax attitude towards knives, you'd be concerned.
Oh, yeah, and I can totally get that. I wouldn't suggest, if that's one of your 3 things that are going to fix schools, basically, I don't know if you've used a third of your policies on that, but let's go to the next one.
Yeah, also just quickly, I don't know, that feels a bit baity.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of an issue, and I don't know the facts, and I could be wrong. I don't know how much of an issue that is in Dimbych, for instance. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, do they have this huge knife problem?
That's going to be my question. What are the numbers of because it feels like a very inner city, London, Birmingham type.
There is an issue with young people's behaviour. There has been documented cases of people been injured by knives in schools.
Yeah.
There is legitimate concerns there. The thing I would say is it is illegal to bring a knife into a school. It's not like there is no law against that. This can be dealt with by the police as well. So the next one is a mobile phone ban in schools coupled with a renewed discipline drive. So I'm ignoring the renewed discipline drive because that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
just
sure.
that's just a non-sentence, isn't it?
The mobile phone ban.
Now, I mean, your kids are probably too young to really be like hooked on the phones. Yeah.
No, it's probably a few years off, and it's something that
Does it concern you?
Hugely.
Hugely.
Yeah. And I think it's a mixture of phones, but then also social media and stuff. And we're the sort of parents within my circles, we're all hoping it kind of gets sorted before our lot go to high school, because I think the generation above my kids, with this sort of guinea pig era, where they've grown up with tablets and they've grown up with social media at like 10, 11,
I don't
12
know
years
how,
old.
if I had a phone in my pocket and I was at school, I would have... I mean, I look at my phone all the time.
Yeah.
If I'm in a queue for anything, I just get my phone out.
They've done studies where sort of they had two control groups sitting exams. They had one group where they locked phones outside of the room and one group with phones in their pockets. And the ones with the phones in their pockets did worse in the exams because they knew that it was there. They weren't even looking at it, but they knew it was there and thinking, what notifications am I getting?
There was that feeling of like that kind of instinctive...
If I'm writing, I have to put my phone in a different room. I have to take my watch off as well, because when I feel the notification, there's physically, I cannot stop my hand from going to check what it is.
And we're adults with fully formed brains, as opposed to sort of teenagers who are but teenagers
but you're right. Yeah, we should have.
It's a huge thing, but there was a report a few months ago, wasn't there, about banning mobile phones. The actual study I think said it didn't have that much of an effect, but then there have been schools where it's become the policy where they've seen people behaviour improve.
I was at a school Eisteddfod in Cardiff. I won't say which school. A lovely school. The vibe was so wonderful there. They had the whole school in one hall. Me and 3 of my friends were judging it. Lovely, lovely day. What? I came away being like, Jen, is it Gen Alpha, the youngest one?
No, I think it might even, this next one in school, I think might even be one. Beta Kirks.
And you know what? Good for them, right? Because they were lovely, right? The Beta Cuck generation, you basic bitches.
Generation basic.
They were a lovely, lovely school. Wonderful school. But I came out with this pit in my stomach because the whole day they all had their phones out recording each other. Now, lovely, and it was all done with good intentions, but I remember, like, if we had a talent show at school, somebody did something embarrassing, okay, you'd be gently bullied for a month, everyone forgot about it, you moved on. That would be online forever now, and it just scared me to death.
Can you imagine if, like, your most embarrassing or worst moment before you were 19 was put online?
Oh gosh, and I think of the things that I did at school, and and I was the generation who I had a phone going to school, and I think I would have been that first generation that did, but they were dumb phones.
We had phones, but they didn't have cameras.
Yeah, so I think year 8 or year 9, I would have had a phone and brought it in. Exactly. But again, dumb phones, like you say.
But I text my parents, be like, at school, and then it was in the locker for the rest of the day because also we could have them confiscated. But it does scare me. But then also, is there an element like the battle's been lost, guys?
So the Robin mentions that study. There's been kind of only one proper study into the issue, and it found that banning phones in schools is not linked to pupils getting higher grades or having better mental well-being. It depends on the pupil. So certain pupils might respond differently. I don't think we can say this is a ridiculous idea.
No, neither is this a groundbreaking policy.
But obviously, like, a lot of kids will have to take a phone to school because, they pick up siblings, after school clubs. So it also feels a bit gimmicky if we're saying these schools are absolutely starved of funds, but what we're going to do is ban kids who bring knives and not let people bring mobile phones. I don't think head teachers are going to go, well, thank God for that.
Where's all the funds coming from that? They put £1 in every time they get something confiscated.
So there's another one. Now, the way they phrase it is so Tory, and I think so made me just think, just piss off. But actually, when you look into it, I think there is various merits in this, but I would also say schools are kind of doing this anyway. So they said they're going to reinstate home economics into the school curriculum.
I didn't realise it'd be taken out.
So it hasn't. It's just not...
There we go.
Perfect setup.
Yeah.
Perfect setup.
Yeah.
It's just not called home economics.
DT, right?
Yeah, you do it in DT. So you do stuff like food, technology, textiles in DT. Financial literacy and stuff is also part of like PSE.
I bet the way they branded it is for the girls, though, isn't it? Oh, the girls are going to go and make smock and dresses and...
A school with every Fanny Craddock. That kind of thing.
Guys,
you've got a fanny, you make a trifle.
you didn't mean to do this, but you've done the perfect segue into Jacob Rees-Mogg. So a man who was described in the comments when I posted this as a haunted pencil.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Victorian pencil.
He was the keynote speaker on the Friday.
Good booking.
The hall had about a couple hundred people in. I mean, compared to Reform, it was so small. There was 5 or 6 rows, and then a gap, and then 5 or 6 rows. And what you tend to find, all the members, all the politicians sit in the front bits, and all the journalists and all the lobbyists sit in the back bit. So you get a flavour for what the party feels by those front rows. And then obviously...
It's like the super fans at the front, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Signs like, can I have your shirt? Like that kind of thing.
Throw their bras on.
I want to darn it. So he stood up and he said he was talking about, Keir Starmer took those donations and someone bought clothes for him and his wife for a...
the worst corruption the world's ever seen. Yeah.
Jacob Rees-Mogg said, let me just speak to the gentlemen in the room for a moment or two. So ladies, you can block your ears.
Polite.
It seems to me very odd that he was happy for another man to be buying his wife dresses. I discussed this with Helena and I said, I think if some nice chap were buying you dresses, I would wonder what you're up to. It's my job to look after my wife's necessities, not some party donor.
God.
Do you need a man to look after your necessities?
I mean, if they want to and they make that bank account fat, that's up to them. Do you know what I mean? But by God...
I don't even look after my own necessities.
No, exactly. What era does he think we're in?
But it was so funny because...
Were they on board for
some
this?
of the old dears in front were like,
oh God.
I saw some of the younger kind of Tories, especially women, like look at each other like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
One of the lobbyists behind me visibly retched.
I'm glad you didn't play us a clip because I'm glad that I didn't have to hear that in his voice.
Yeah.
Okay. What era does he genuinely think we're in?
Well, do you want to hear the ways that the Conservatives need to get back on track? He said this is why we lost. Because we weren't conservative enough. Because we went along with the climate change nonsense. That's why they lost. No other reason. That's why they lost. So in order to get back on track, they need to scrap 3 things. They need to scrap the Human Rights Act. They need to scrap the Equality Act. And they need to scrap the Climate Change Act. Mm-hmm. That's why they lost.
Yeah.
That's why they lost. All those people in deprived communities who've got all of those people saying it's because of the bloody Equality Act.
What's his day job now that he's no longer an MP?
Well, he still runs his little hedge fund, doesn't he?
Sure.
And looking after his wife's necessities.
And he's on GB News.
Of
got
course
a show on
he
GB
is.
News as well.
Yeah, and he's and his wife's stylist.
One other thing I just wanted to bring up about the Welsh Tory conference was the most hilarious fringe meeting. What I'm talking about is you have the main hall where you have the key speakers, and then every so often there's these things called fringe meetings where different groups can hold almost like workshops in other rooms. And you tend to find you might get Cancer Research UK put something on to talk about cancer, and MSs will go and people can go and engage with it and talk about specific issues. So they're quite niche. One of the fringe meetings was hosted by the Welsh Young Conservatives. And this was called Preparing for the Future to Renew Our Voter Coalition. Following the Conservatives' historic defeat, it's clear that a renewal is essential. The average Conservative voter is 65 at the last election, and we must act decisively to broaden our appeal.
Average.
So,
Average.
Do you know what they're defining as a young Conservatives? Under 45.
I mean, they're right.
Imagine the youth wing of your party is under 45.
Yeah.
God. There must have been prime ministers younger than that, surely? Is there?
How old was Blair?
Yeah, and DC, Dave Cam.
Yeah.
He was 43.
Yeah, he'd have been young.
Yeah, he was a young Conservative for 2 years before. Yeah. So he became party leader 5-6 years before that.
Relating to the Kemi Badenoch gaff, at one Welsh Conservative conference, David Cameron came on, and it was very split at the time because the party split over Brexit and that kind of thing. And he came on in Llangollen and went, do you know what? It's great to be in the valleys. And the whole...
No, he didn't.
Yeah. It was very funny. He refused to shake Andratti's hand as well. Very funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Clammy.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll just wash my hands, thank you.
Do you think he knows the language of the farm?
DC? Well, he knows the language of one farm animal.
before we move on, I just wanted to... There's another story that kind of came up when I was there. There's a couple of people at the conference walking around. I recognised one of the women. I thought, I'm sure she ran for Reform. And I was like, what's she doing? What's she doing here? That's weird. And they had a thing on their badge called GB PAC, PAC. Did a little bit of a look around online, and it turns out GB PAC is an organisation which aims to unite the right in the UK. So Reform, Tories, probably other less palatable groups. And I was talking to her, she said, we're very well resourced. I'd identified myself as a journalist. I said, so what's kind of your aim? She goes, well, if parties want to develop conservative policies, we've got cases and experts on hand who can help them develop them. So essentially, they want to put forward a united conservative front. And I was like, so where are you getting your money from? She says, we've got one very large donor. And I was like, who is it? And transpires, she says, it's Elon Musk.
Right, okay.
So, here's a screenshot from their website. They've got lots of lions in Union Jack.
That is so chat GPT'd up, isn't it?
It's so chat GPT'd. Although if it was Elon Musk, it would be Gronk, isn't it? That's his one, yeah.
What's this lions thing? They don't like Africans. Do you know what I mean? And now they're going for the main African animal.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
But also there's statues of lions, isn't there, in Trafalgar Square? And they love a statue.
They do, yeah, famously. Stick them in the river.
But don't you think that, like, it's very concerning that foreign money is bankrolling and trying to drive our political discourse in a very extreme direction?
Yeah, it's terrifying, to be honest.
And this is the thing about, a lot of these think tanks when they get sort of a lot of airtime on, mainstream channels and things, where is the money coming from with these things? And it's quite easy to sort of have people from a very broad, like, what are some of the name of these places? Like a lot of the Tufton Street places. Sort of like Taxpayers Alliance and things like that, you think are incredibly, I suppose, independent and impartial.
Yeah.
And pushing certain
narratives and just driving the agenda, setting the tone, moving that Overton window we spoke about before, that idea of what's acceptable, just trying to shift it in the direction of ultimately the people who are funding them.
Yeah, because it looks like what these people want is lions on our streets, and I'm happy to be quoted on this. Not a fan of that.
No.
Is there an animal, kind of natural predator you would accept?
I'd be happy to see hippos on the street.
Hippos would be fun.
You know how in Colombia they've got a problem with when
Pablo
Escobar was shot. They just let his farm run wild.
Yeah.
Now they've got loads of hippos running around Colombia.
That's fine.
I'd be fine with that. Loads of little mudangs running around. I can get on board.
That'd be cute. I'd quite like to hear that on sort of Radio Wales Travel. Just the A48 is...
There's a bloat of hippos blocking the A47.
The Bringlass tunnels are absolutely fucked because of the hippos. Again, build a relief road.
Oh God, they're in the wetlands. They kill more people than any other animal.
Hippos?
Yeah, they're fast.
You said that was just like, and I know.
Like, I thought we were really
They've
traumatized.
chased me. They've called me.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I did want to talk about is waiting lists, because we talk about it every month when the new waiting list data comes out. And you remember back in December, Elena Morgan told me that she wanted to reduce waiting lists for 2-year waits down from 24,000, and she said to around 8,000 by the spring.
Yeah. Which is big.
It was big.
Big. I mean, by 2/3 in essentially 3 or 5 months, we've reached the spring. And we've got the latest data.
Ooh.
And she said be down to around 8,000, and it's fallen to 8,389.
Wow. Okay.
So that is...
Failure.
That is the...
Complete and utter failure.
Is it a failure?
No, that's really impressive.
What do you think?
That is impressive.
Because opposition parties have said she hasn't hit the target.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, come on. No, she had. Do you know what I mean? No, come on.
Give or take.
Yeah.
So,
rounding down.
So my thought is, if you get to kind of under 8,500, you're around 8,000. So I'm prepared to say, yes, she hit her target.
Yes.
But also, like, we can talk, people say she's failed to hit her target. How many thousands of people is that who've had, like, appointments at a human level?
Yes,
Has this made people's lives better? Yes.
I think it's really easy just to endlessly shit on everything.
Yeah.
Fun as well.
Yeah. But I do think what we've got to say is this is a monumental effort. What I also think we can say is, why have they not set up these surgical hubs before? They've argued it's a matter of money. I would tentatively suggest they could have done this before.
This is before we had a lot of the extra money that's coming through budgets.
Yeah, well, they've argued that it's because they put that extra stuff in, but ultimately, the amount that they put in was 50 million, which in a Welsh budget context is actually quite small, and you could have just reallocated that and started to clear these. Also, there's still just under 800,000 open weights.
Yeah.
So
it's still too high.
There's a hell of a long way to go, but I think on a long path, you've got to say this is progress. I mean, they did target having this done by the end of 2023, so let's not go too crazy.
But the best time, if it wasn't yesterday, is today.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's a direction of travel which we should commend those people who've made it happen at least a bit.
And then going into the election, it's going to be a bit of a handy thing to stick on the old leaflet as well.
It is. I mean, but what needs to happen is this has to continue and the other lists have to go down. Once you've cleared that backlog, you have to start working through the year-long waits, because ultimately, people aren't on this list who've waited for a year and 9 months. It's still pretty shit.
Yeah.
But we criticised them a lot. They've now come down a bit. I think we should also acknowledge that that's happened.
Yeah, no, that is very impressive. So yeah, as you say, they've had put that on the leaflet, waiting lists down, more hippos on the street.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's good, right?
Those are the two leading policies, I think.
Do you want to know the most damning thing?
Go on.
Wales has 7 health boards. There are 8,300 odd over 2-year waits. Over 5,000 of them are in Betsy Cadwallader. Basically, Cardiff and Vale, which I did a piece on recently, is absolutely going to hell in a handbasket. It's going to shit. And Betsy Cadwallader, which is gone to hell in a handbasket ages ago.
Yeah.
Those two health boards account for 83% of the longest waits.
We should probably do this on a separate episode. Can we work out why Betsy is so bad?
In a nutshell, Betsy Cadwallader used to be 3 health boards.
Yeah.
They combined them into one single health board. That process wasn't well done. It's too big anyway. It's one of the biggest health organisations in Europe. It's had a series of really bad management. It's got a really challenging area in which it has to cover. Issues that have happened have been allowed to fester. Once something gets ingrained, I mean, some of the stuff I hear, if I could get the evidence for it, it's absolutely if you're listening and you have that evidence, send it along.
Yeah.
It just has become, and the problem is once the health board gets into that state, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you've got a choice about where to go as a physician, are you going to go to the basket case? Probably not. There's stuff there, like in the pandemic, they weren't recording COVID cases right. How their accountancy was working was all wrong. There's so much there which are like, this is horrific. It's in special measures. It was in special measures for 10 years. It got taken out of special measures just before the last Senate election, only to be put back in.
Yeah.
But obviously that wasn't anything to do with the election. I've been assured that that's nothing to do with the election. So
a lot of things, like life, a lot of things have contributed to this.
Yes.
Yeah. But that 2/3 jump down is a big figure.
It's a big figure. Any more, guys?
I love that. I
Yeah.
thought we covered a lot of ground
Yeah, we
there.
did.
A lot of square footage was covered there.
Yeah, we get to talk about a lot now that
Yeah.
we've the deadwood of reading isn't holding us back.
Yeah.
That's good.
Exactly. Did you have your banana milkshake?
I left it here.
Oh,
I accidentally left it
did
here.
Heyman Media have the banana milkshake?
Yeah.
The banana milkshake.
I think someone drank
Did you
it.
dip the banana in the banana milkshake?
Photographer Rob was looking very jowly today.
Did you enjoy your corn?
I'm going to be honest with you. After I've rubbed that corn on my head, pretending to be a
Yeah.
unicorn, it would have felt weird to eat it.
Fair.
I'd have eaten
What did you get given again?
a pinaval. A
Pinaval.
pineapple. Yeah.
Did you have it?
I did have it on its own, not in a curry. Thank you so much.
As we said before, if anybody would like to speak to us about sponsorship opportunities, it's essentially a way that you can get your message in front of lots of people. Obviously, if you're like a gambling company, we're not going to start talking about the odds and stuff. But if you're a charity, which Robin will sell out.
Yeah, the Ray Winston of Wales. Yeah.
Nah.
Bet in play.
Nah.
Get on my boat.
The odds are on your screen. Nah. Can we put odds on the screen? It doesn't matter about what for.
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite fun.
Anything, yeah.
The odds of Darren Miller coming on the show.
Yeah.
Struck it on a pen,
Slashed.
finally.
I will maybe see some of you at Hay Festival. Might not see Mel because we're not going together.
Separately.
Separate tents.
Yes, if your tent flies away in the night, it was me.
Cool. Thanks.
Snip.
Thanks. Bye, Mum.
No, I'll save your mum.
We're in the same tent but separate compartments. Just to clarify, I'm not that Northampton.
What manage is your tent? Like, how many people can it sleep? Is it a 4-man
Depends
tent?
on the man.
Sure.
Me,
Yeah, for you.
15.
Yeah. He's a little dot.
Yeah.
Adult, 3.
Yeah.
Boys large.
Boys large.
Why do they sell them as a lie? When they're like 2-man tent, that means 1 man in a bag. Just
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
It's a trick.
I went to a festival last year and I had a 2-man tent.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was cramped.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
sad.
And I
They're
had a
sad,
small
aren't they?
rucksack.
Yeah.
It was like,
Me and my friend went to Isle of Wight and we had to have a discussion as to whether she wanted to sleep with my knees up her front or up her back. Because I'm 5'9", do you know what I mean? I've got legs. And which was less weird. And we went with up the back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was we were very close now, but...
Last time I was at Green Man Festival, I saw, like a 2-man tent. And after clearly a big night, someone had fallen asleep just with their top half in the tent and just legs out.
Yeah.
wearing clothes.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
you know?
Enough clothes, enough to party.
Good luck to you and your mum on that basis.
Yeah. Have a nice time.
Have a wonderful time and see you guys next week.
Yes. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.